Amrita Sen, what is your confidence that demand will weaken in oil?
I think I have very little confidence of that, Tom, simply because the data continues to come in stronger than expected. Now, we've been conservative on demand, that's fine, but I absolutely don't buy into this argument that, oh, China's not reopening, the data's coming in up 3 million barrels per day year on year. Sure, the base is weak, but even otherwise, India's printing record high growth. US demand, particularly on the consumers, is still holding up. There's a huge disconnect between the data that's been coming in and forecasts versus prices. And it's really hard to square right now. I just don't think I've seen a market like this before.
I agree, and that's certainly the zeitgeist among everyone that plays the petroleum game. Is your scope here for Brent crude to move X number of dollars up per barrel, $5, $8, $10, or does Amrita Sen look for a jump condition on the path back up to 120 a barrel?
I think there needs to be a very clear kind of jump condition. There needs to be a catalyst. I think right now the problem is we just aren't getting the signals from prices that, oh, things are tight, even after Saudi Arabia made those unilateral cuts. Part of it, I genuinely believe, Tom, if you ask me what did I miss this year, it's been the rising cost of capital and what's that doing to the market, which is destocking. Nobody wants to hold inventory, and I think we are, as a world, going towards lower inventory forward cover. And I think that's probably one of the big reasons oil isn't rallying, because everybody's just dumping inventory. Once we are through that, that does lead us more susceptible to price spikes from any supply losses. But we need to see like very clear evidence of stock draws, because so far, yes, stocks are drawing, but I guess it needs to be maybe in the visible centers like the US, and we've had so many refinery outages, that's creating a problem as well.
This is what Jeff Curry was talking about as well, the inability or unwillingness to pay to actually store oil right now, and that people just don't want the physicality of it, in part, and as well as some other issues. And yet the International Energy Agency came out overnight and said that demand is diminishing greatly, in large part because of renewable energy and renewable and electric vehicles. Do you think that's overstated, that we could see peak oil demand in the next couple of years?
And yet they revised demand up for this year. Did you see that? I think there's always going to be this dichotomy with the IEA, that they keep pushing the narrative of peak demand, and yet they keep pushing back the year, or they keep raising the level at which demand is peaking. Pretty much the last few years, they've managed to underestimate demand considerably. And I think, look, from a government point of view or a policy point of view, yes, the narrative has to be that there is going to be peak demand because we're trying to transition away from fossil fuels, but the reality is very, very different, particularly in emerging market. Yes, China, for instance, we do think gasoline peaks this year, but that doesn't mean it falls off a cliff. And the biggest driver still remains trucking, and it's really diesel demand.